Hi. So today we are starting with the concept of multiple linear regression. And for that, we are going to consider one data set. Let me bring that data set in front of you. So I'll go to my working directory, so which is C drive, machine learning, regression, multiple linear regression. I'll set my working directory on my Spider environment as well. Let me close this. And I'll go to the files. Okay. And also just for your information, I have also updated my Spider to use the latest version. At the same time, I have updated my sklearn version to use the 0.21 and above, right? Which is, I think, in sync with you guys. You guys are, you must be using either 0.22 or 0.21 version. All right. So for to understand multiple linear regression, we are going to consider this data set, which is 50 startups copy.csv. Now this data set has 50 rows. Each rows here indicate one company. And as I've explained it in our last session, right, each column indicates the expenditure made by that company in that particular department. Yeah, let's give some minute for this Excel file to come up. All right. So here you can see we have 50 rows. Each rows here indicate a single company, right? Which has done some expenditure in different departments. Like for example, the company one, right, has done a expenditure of $1653.49.2 in R&D. Similarly, $1368.97.8 in administration. Similarly, some amount in marketing. And this company is located at this region. And the profit earned by this company in the last quarter is this much. Okay, so here what this profit column indicates is the indication that the company has earned this much of profit by investing this many amounts in different departments. And this is the historical information. Now what we want to do is we want to do a prediction. Let's assume that a new company comes in, or not just new company, let's say in the next quarter, right? I want to predict what will be the profit. So for that, I will check the books of this particular company and see what are the different amount or expenditure spent by this company, right? And based on that, it will do the prediction. All right, is the use case clear, everyone? Can you quickly confirm it on the chat window? Perfect. So here now, the thing is, we are having multiple columns, which will be part of our input X. In our previous example, we only had one column and one output column, right? But here in our input X, we have multiple columns. So we are going to use all of this column as an input, right? Including the state to decide what will be the profit of a particular company. All right, so let's do that. So first step is to read this data set. To read the data set, let me create a new program here. I'll save this program in the working directory. Sorry. All right, I'll save this program as multiple linear regression mlr.py. So let me go back to the working directory. So you can see the file has been created. To read the data from the CSV, we need pandas library. So I'll say import pandas as PD. Then I'll say dataset is equal to PD dot read underscore CSV, right? And we need to pass the name of the file. So name of the file is 50 underscore startup.csv. So I'm just clicking on this file. Then I'm clicking F2. F2 is a shortcut key which opens up this rename window. But I'm not going to rename it. I'm going to simply copy the name of the file. I'll hit cancel. And then I'll paste it here. So now let me verify if these two steps are working fine or not. So I'll select it and I'll hit Control Enter. So Control Enter will execute the code. So you can see here the code has been executed in the IPython console. We can verify it from Variable Explorer also that a dataset variable has been created and we have read all the data. So next step is data pre-processing. So in data pre-processing, let's verify, is there any missing value here? Fortunately, we don't have any missing value. So here 0 indicates that 0 amount was spent on this particular department by this particular company. All right, so 0 here doesn't indicate it's a missing value. So clearly in my data set, I don't have a missing value. So I'm not going to apply imputer. But in this case, like we only had 50 rows, right? We only had 50 columns. So that's why we were able to verify it manually, right? But what if there are 10 lakhs or crores of rows in this particular data set? Then verifying it manually, whether it has a missing data or not, is a huge task. You guys agree with me on this? Can you confirm it on the chat window? Yeah, thanks, Amay, for confirming it. What about others? So here, luckily, we only had 50 rows. So that's why we were able to verify whether we don't have any missing value manually very quickly. But in case if the data set is very, very huge, then verifying whether there is a missing data or not is a huge task itself, right? If I have to do it manually. In the current cell, yes, this option in the current cell is same as Control Enter. All right, let's go back here. So what we'll do is, even if we know that there are no missing data here, right, we'll still apply the missing data step. So I'll say import, so not import, so from sklearn dot impute import simple imputer, right? I hope everybody knows that with the higher version of sklearn, they have discarded the use of, or they have deprecated the use of imputer library. And instead of imputer library, they are asking us to use simple imputer. Clear? All right, so I'll say from sklearn.impute import simple imputer. Then next step, create the object. So I'll say impute is equal to simple imputer. Then afterwards, we'll say impute.fit. So in this case, we are going to do fit on variable x. Therefore, first we need to divide this data set in two parts, that is x and y, right? So in our case, x will be index 0, index 1, index 2, index 3, and y will be index 4. So before applying data preprocessing impute step, I will read here data set as x and y. X is what? X is dataset dot iLocation square bracket dot values, and inside square bracket I will divide it in two parts with the help of comma. Left hand side of comma is for rows, right hand side of comma is for columns. We need to read all the rows, and columns we need to start it from 0 till, so I need to read 0, 1, 2, 3. So I will mention here as 4. So this becomes my x. Similarly, my variable y, we'll use capital notations here, is dataset dot iLocation square bracket dot values. I'll go inside square bracket. I'll divide it in two parts, that is rows and columns. I need to read all the rows, and from columns, I just need to read index 4 till 5. Is this step clear, guys? Can you quickly confirm it on the chat window? Perfect. Ashu, it should read only what has been selected. Let me confirm it, right? So I'm going to select this and I'll hit on this button, which is read current cell. So you can see it is executing only the one which I have selected. Oh, okay. Looks like it is running the whole program. So this must be a bug with the spider itself. Let me use the another one, run current cell, and go to the next one. Yeah, Ashu, looks like there is a problem with spider itself. It is executing the entire code instead of the selected cell. So better use control enter. Okay, so I'm going to execute from line number 8 till 12. I'll select and I'll hit control enter. Done. So I can go to my variable explorer, right? And I can verify that variable X has been read successfully. Similarly, I can see variable Y has been read successfully. Now I need to apply imputer on variable X, but we cannot apply imputer on X on an entire variable X, right? Because variable X has one text data, right? And imputer cannot be applied on text data. So therefore, what we'll do is we'll apply the imputer only from 0 to 2. So I'll say impute.fit on X, but don't use complete X. Divide X in two parts, read all the rows of X, and from column, read from index 0 till index, we need 0, 1, and 2. So I'll say 0:3, and 3 is exclusively. All right. And then I'll say impute.transform. In transform, again, I'll pass the same X, all rows of X, but I will pass only columns 0, 1, and 2. So I'll write here 0:3. Now, as we know, fit and transform work on a separate copy. Therefore, we will overwrite the original data by mentioning it at the left hand side of the equal to. Any doubt till this step? I just see only a couple of response. What about other? Okay. So Maithili has raised a question why it shows X and Y as NumPy array. So if you recollect in the previous version of Spider, the X and Y, right, they were treated as an object, right? And Spider was not allowing us to visualize those objects. If I used to double click the X, it used to give us a message saying that you cannot view an object. In the updated version of Spider, right, just for the visualization purpose, they have done it in this way. Ashu, 50 startup copy.csv, I made an extra copy, right, just to display it over here. And this was done purposely because accidentally, let's say if I modify this, I didn't want it to, overwrite the original data set on which we are going to perform the analysis. So this was just for the display purpose that I created an additional copy. Okay, perfect. Maithil, does that answer the question? Why do you see here as an array of object in the array of a NumPy module? It is just for the visualization purpose, which Spider has done it for us, right? So if you check this, let me open the older version of Spider. Yeah, I'm opening the older version of Spider to show you the difference here. It's taking time. So you can see the version is 3.3.1, which is the older version of Spider. The Spider which I have launched, this one is 4.1.3, which is the updated version. Let's wait for older version of Spider to come up, and then I'll show you the difference. I hope at least you recollect it, right? Like we initially, this when I used to double click on X, which is of type object, it doesn't allow us, it was not allowing us to visualize this. Yeah, just to get rid of that, Spider have updated this, and for display purpose, it is converting into a NumPy object array. Otherwise, it's still a regular object only. All right, let's move ahead. After this, what we have to perform is label encoding, right? Because even if I have done missing data, handle missing data, I still need to handle text information. So I'll be performing here label encoding. So I'll say from sklearn dot preprocessing import label encoder. Then I'll say le is equal to label encoder, le.fit. In fit method, I will pass variable x, right? I'll pass all the rows of x, but I need to pass only column index 3 now. So I'll say 3 column 4 because text data is in index 3. So I'm passing here 3 colon 4. And then I'll say label encoder dot transform. And again here I'll pass the same thing. Done. Let me execute this, select, control enter. Right? Now here you might get an error saying that it cannot reshape it. That's because the output of label encoder transform, right, is a single dimension array. So if you see this, if I select only label encoder transform and I execute it, it's a single dimension array. Therefore, when I'm putting this data back inside an X, I need to make sure this is single dimension. Therefore, I'll have to use here just X colon comma 3. Now, if you verify this, it worked fine. And when you double click X, you can see label encoding has been applied. Any doubt with label encoding, guys? Perfect. Now, next step is what? One-hot encoding. So I'll have to include from sklearn dot preprocessing, sklearn dot preprocessing, import one-hot encoder. Why do we use one-hot encoder, guys? Can someone please tell me on the chat window? It's a question to everyone. Why do we use one-hot encoding? Yeah, that's right. To remove the comparison which has been induced because of label encoding. I see only one response. What about others? Ashu, Amay? Ashu is saying to transform it into binary. It's not exactly to transform it into binary, right? The major intention is just to get rid of comparison that has kicked in because of the label encoding. All right. So let's move ahead, guys. Sorry. So I'll create an object of one-hot encoder now. So one-hot encoder is equal to one-hot encoder. OHE is a variable name or object name is equal to one-hot encoder. And here I'll say categories is equal to, so this is in index 3. So I'll mention here index 3. Right? Then OHE dot fit and transform, or you can use fit single, right? Single fit, or you can use fit and transform, which does the fit method as well as transform method in single cell. right? And I will override the original data. Excuse me for a second. Yeah. Apologies for the disturbance. Let's continue. Right? And I will override the original variable x. So this is my step for one-hot encoder. So now if I execute this step, just see what is going to happen. Select, Control Enter. It will show you an error. Shape mismatch. If category is this array, it has to be of shape and features. Right? Even if you turned off the sparse matrix here, so if you say comma sparse equal to false, so we are turning off the sparse matrix, and even if you execute it now, it will still give you the same error. Right? Now this has happened again because of the newer version of sklearn. So 0.21 and above, you will start receiving this error, shape mismatch. If you recollect in our previous versions, right, when I was using 0.18, this code was working perfectly fine without any issues. You recollect that stuff, guys? Can you confirm it on the chat window? What about Amay, Ashu? Perfect. Right. So let's see how to handle this scenario. So let's assume, like, I'll show you a technique how I will explore it, or how I'm going to do a Google to fix this issue. So I'll simply copy this message. I'll open a new window. I'll type here one hot encoder shape mismatch and pick up the first link. Here, if you see, this person has raised the same question or same error that we have facing, right? He's also using one-hot encoder. He's applying one-hot encoder on 0th column, and he's getting this issue, right? Same error, shape mismatch. If you scroll down below, you will see a solution has been also posted. What they are saying is, now in one-hot encoder, we have to use it along with column transformer. Okay, so this is another library which we have to use it. So I'll simply copy this library name and I'll paste it here. Done. Then again, I'll go back. Here you will see it is creating an object. We already have X, so I'm going to ignore this line, right? So I'm going to now create object of column transformer. In column transformer, we are informing him the key is one-hot encoder. This is an entire object of one-hot encoder, which is using 0th column, right? So you can see here he has mentioned the comment. The column number to be transformed here is 0, but it can be 0, 1, and 3. Right? So what's going to happen is one-hot encoding will be applied on 0th index. So we'll be changing this 0th index to 3 index for our scenario. So I'll simply copy this line. I'll go to the spider and I'll paste it here. And I'll change this to 3. Done. And now we don't need this OHE. We'll get rid of it. And here instead of OHE, we will have a column transformation dot fit transform. All right, so let me now try it and execute this line. Select, Control Enter. Done. It's been applied. You can verify your variable X. So in your variable X, you can see the last column, right, which was, I believe, country. Sorry, state. The state column, right, has been converted to one. Okay, we have applied one-hot encoding on the state column, and you can see it has come from the last final location, and it has been placed in the beginning 0, 1, and 2. So these 3 columns indicates your state column now. Is this step clear, guys? Perfect. And then we are done with pre-processing step. Right? Now here we can see, because of one-hot encoding, duplication of data has been come, right? So even if I don't consider this column 0, we can still predict what is the data here, right? Not predict, we can still identify what is the data here, right? So when I'm saying 1 is 0 and 2 is 1, so that means 0 is 0, right? And here what do we mean by 0, 1 and 2? So to know that what is 0, what is 1 and what is 2, we will go to label encoding dot classes, right? So here, okay, again in the updated Spider version, you can see label encoding object here. Just double click this, and then under the classes underscore, right? You can, if I double click the classes underscore, you can see the 0 has been assigned to California, 1 has been assigned to Florida, and 2 has been assigned to New York. Again, this was not available with older version of Spider, right? So this is California, then 1 is what? Florida, and 2 is New York. So even if I don't consider the first column, I can still tell you what is the actual data in this current row, right? So when both are present, that means this one is available. Sorry, when both are absent, that means this one is present, right? So when I am saying column 1, which is Florida, is absent, column 2, which is New York, is absent, so it automatically means California is present, right? So here we will ignore the first column now, right? This step is called as what? Avoiding dummy value trap. I hope you guys remember this. Avoiding dummy value trap. And how I'm going to do that? I will say variable x is equal to x, all rows of x, but for columns starting with index 1 till the end. See here, when I don't mention anything at the right hand side of the colon, it means go till the end. So now let me execute this. Before executing, you can see in column x, sorry, in variable x, there are 6 columns, 50 rows. Now when I execute this, there are 5 columns. So we are ignoring one column, right? And this is just to avoid the duplication. That is called dummy value trap. Okay, so auto means it assigns the columns and everything, right, automatically for us. So the numbers which it's already been assigned because of label encoding. You can further go to check the details in the help file, right? So let's go to the help section and choose your console and type here sklearn dot pre-processing dot one-hot encoder. So the question raises, what does this auto means? Determines the categories automatically from the training data. Is that clear, Ashu? Ashu, is this clear? So it automatically defines like what are the different categories. Categories in this case, what will be the different columns? So there are 3 columns, 0, 1, and 2. So how did this came to know that it has 0, 1, and 2? Right, based on data that is available in the data set. So here 3 means we are indicating, here 3 means we are applying one-hot encoding on column 3. Right, if you don't mention this 3, it will apply one-hot encoding on all the columns. It will apply one-hot encoding here, it will apply one-hot encoding here, it will apply one-hot encoding here. So what will happen is you will get all of these unique numbers as part of columns, and it will mark it either as absent or present for a given row. Same thing will happen with column 3 data. Same thing will happen with column 4 data. So when we said here 3, we told them that, listen, please apply one-hot encoding on the third index. So similar to what we do it here, right? So in case of label encoding, we are telling where to apply label encoding. We are telling apply it on all rows, but on this columns. Similarly in impute, we are telling them that apply imputer, right, on all the rows, but on the specific columns. In case of one-hot encoder, right, we need to mention that in advance. We don't pass that in here. We only pass here entire data X, right? But this column transformer or one-hot encoder object, in case of earlier version of sklearn, right, it should know like where exactly should I apply one-hot encoding on variable X, right? So we are telling him, please apply it on column index 3. Does that answer the question, Ashok? Perfect. All right. Let's move ahead. So now we have avoided the dummy value trap. I hope this step is also clear. Will you please confirm it on the chat window? Okay. So line number 40. Why we have done that? That is to avoid the dummy value trap. That is to avoid the duplicate values. Maithili, what about you? Are you clear with this step? Line number 40. Why we have mentioned one-hot encoder? Okay. So one-hot encoder is a column transformation technique. One-hot encoding is a column transformation technique. And there are multiple column transformation technique, not just one-hot encoder. There are other techniques as well. Okay, so there is a technique called as I think I'm not able to recollect the exact name right now. So there is one technique which performs both label encoding as well as count vectorizer. So there is a technique called count vectorizer which perform both the steps at one single go. And what are these both steps? One-hot encoding followed by label encoding followed by one-hot encoder. So that is also one of the column transformation technique, right? So here we are informing that we are applying column transformation, but the technique used to apply column transformation is one-hot encoder. And we are passing the object of one-hot encoder. So if you go to the help section, and here if you type sklearn dot compose dot column transformer. Okay, so first one is just I told you, right, it's a key, right? Then okay, so you can see there are a bunch of other techniques as well, right? So we are telling him please apply one-hot encoding technique. So here you can see the column transformation technique used here is normalizer. So instead of normalizer, we want to apply what? One-hot encoding technique. That's why we are mentioning one-hot encoder as the key. Does that answer the question, Maithili? One-hot encoding is just one of the column transformation technique. There are multiple other techniques as well, right? And that's why we need to pass it over. Perfect. So let's move ahead. So done. My data set is now ready for machine learning, right? So let's see how to do multiple linear regression. So what I'm going to do is multiple linear regression is nothing but an equation again, right? Whose formula is like this: y equal to, okay, what is the doubt? Remainder parameter. What does that mean? You can actually choose to ignore this. You can use the default value. We actually don't need this. If you again go to the help section, that will give you more details about that. Again, we actually don't need this. Okay, all right. So multiple linear regression, sorry. Multiple linear regression is a mathematical function, right? So if you recollect the equation of simple linear regression, it was y equal to mx plus c, which is nothing but an equation of line, correct? Can you please confirm this on the chat window? The equation of simple linear regression was y is equal to mx plus c. Now equation of multiple linear regression is y, right? Y is equal to some constant, right? Constant plus a1 x1 plus a2 x2 plus a3 x3 plus a4 x4 plus so on. This is x4 till an xn, where a1 a2 a3 a4 and till an are nothing but coefficients. A1, right, the set of a1 a2 a3 till an, they are some numbers, coefficients, right? And x1 x2 x3 till xn, they are nothing but my input, x values. You can also say they are nothing but my dimensions. All right. So the equation of multiple linear regression is y is equal to constant plus a1 x1 plus a2 x2 plus a3 x3 so on till an xn, where a1 a2 a3 till an are nothing but coefficients, right? And this x1 x2 x3 x till xn are nothing but my input variable x, or you can say dimensions. Is this clear, guys? Is the equation clear? Can you please confirm it on the chat window? Perfect. So now if I observe these two equations carefully, the equation of simple linear regression and equation of multiple linear regression. So I can say that simple linear regression is a special case of multiple linear regression. Okay, so SLR is a special case of multiple linear regression where A2, A3, A4 and so on are 0 till an, are what, 0. Similarly, x1, so instead of saying, yeah, similarly x2, x3, x4 till xn are 0, right? A1 is equal to m, right? And x1 is equal to x. So if this condition satisfies, then it is the equation of simple linear regression. Do you guys agree with me on this point? Can you please confirm it on the chat window? Right? If condition is satisfied, then multiple linear regression equation is converted to simple linear regression equation. So I can say that SLR is a special case of multiple linear regression, right? And this thing was aware by the people who actually created linear regression library for us, right? So in our previous example of simple linear regression, let me bring up that code in front of you. So for linear regression, we have used linear regression library. When this library was created, they were aware of this fact that SLR is nothing but a special case of multiple linear regression, right? And therefore, in order to perform multiple linear regression, we can actually use the same library. So I'll say from sklearn dot
linear model, import linear regression. And even if you see the name of the library, right, they never said it's a simple linear regression library. They are saying it's a linear regression library because they were aware that SLR is a special case of MLR. So instead of creating two separate libraries, they have created only one library and they have named it as linear regression. Okay, so now we'll create the object of linear regression library. So I'll say LE is equal to linear regression. Then I'll say LE dot fit, and in the fit method, we'll pass both the values. That is, we'll pass X and we'll pass Y. Right, so this will now learn and done. This is my multiple linear regression. So we have created a model, right, which has learned using multiple linear regression technique on data set X and Y. Is this step clear, guys? Perfect. Now we need to do the prediction, right? And for prediction, we need input values. Right? And in our previous example, we have already seen how to take the input values. We can take it using input method, right? And here we'll have to ask all the details. Like we'll have to ask what is the value of R&D, what is the value of administration, what is the value of marketing, and where that company is located, right? So as an input, we need to take all of this into consideration, right? So in case of simple linear regression, it was a very straightforward, right? Where we have only asked them one question. So I think this was the program which we did in last session, right? So here you can see we have only asked them experience. With the help of input, we converted into a float and we put it inside an NP array, and we created an array structure called final new X, and we passed it inside the prediction, right? But in this case, just one parameter is not sufficient for us. We need to ask them all the information. We need to ask them amount spent on R&D, amount spent on administration, amount spent on marketing, amounts, and where that company is located. So we need to ask this 4 information, right? So what I will do is this time I'll show you another way. This is one way which we have seen it on our previous example to take the inputs. Another technique is I will create a new file here, and I'll name this file as input.csv. So here this is another technique, right? So I'm creating a new file called input.csv. From this input.csv, I'm going to remove all the other rows and I'll only keep one row. And I'll change the value. I'll consider as some new company which has spent, let's say, this much of amount in research and development. There's a new company which has spent, let's say, this much of amount in administration. In marketing, let's say they have spent this much of amount. And this new company is located in New York, and I'll get rid of this profit because that is not a part of input, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm considering the inputs directly from an Excel file. Instead of asking user to enter one values at a time, I am considering the input directly from an Excel file, and I'm naming this file as input.csv. What is the advantage of this is I can provide multiple companies information at a time, right? So you can have one more row here with some numbers and with some other state. You can have one more row of some another company whose profit we want to predict. Is this step clear, guys? What is the another technique? One is the technique where we are asking the user to enter the data directly from the
console using the input function of the Python. Right? And second technique is just create a new Excel file whose structure is similar to the structure of variable X. Right? And use that as an input file. What is the advantage of this? You can have multiple inputs, that is multiple company rows, right? And predict them parallel. So let me now close this. So this file has been created. Yes. I want to save it. Let's go to Spider. In the file section, you will see input.csv is available. Now I need to read this. So I'll say input dataset is equal to pd dot read underscore csv. Not Excel, read underscore csv. What is the name of the CSV file? Input.csv. Done. Let me select and execute this. Let me go to the variable explorer and I can say input dataset is available. Right. So now input dataset is going to be my new X, right? So I'll say new X is equal to, see again, I cannot use input dataset directly in the predict function. Reason, the data type of input dataset is data frame. And linear regression has learned on variable X. The data type of variable X is what? Array. It's an array of object. And also see the number of columns in the X column. So X has 5 columns. Input data set has 4, right? So if you remember, this variable X has gone through different pre-processing steps. It has gone through imputer step. After imputer, it has gone through label encoding. After label encoding, it has gone through column transformation, which uses one-odd encoding, right? So similarly, I have to pass this input data set from all of these steps now. Why? Because label encoder has learned on an X variable, which has passed across these 3 steps. So similarly, my input data set should also pass through the same objects, right? Same step. Is this clear, guys? Why I cannot directly pass new data set in the label encoder.predict? Amaya has confirmed it. Maithili has confirmed it. Ashu? Perfect. So let's do this. So I'm saying new X is equal to, I'll say input dataset dot iLocation square bracket dot values, comma, read all the rows, comma, from column index 0 till end. Okay. So you can see input dataset, I need to read all of this. This all should be part of new X. Then I'll say here, select, control enter. Done. So now I got new X. Then I need to apply imputer on new X across these 3. But here we don't have any missing value. So even if we apply imputer, it's of no use for us, right? But let's apply it, right? Let's stick to the rules that we'll apply imputer. Now for applying imputer on new X, I'm not going to create a new object of simple imputer. We will reuse the existing impute object. So I'll directly say here impute. And again, I'll not say fit. What is the meaning of fit? Fit means learn, right? Or fit means identify, right? Here we are already, this variable input has already learned on the original input X. Based on that, it has calculated the average value, right? For the missing data. So we will not say learn again. In fact, we will say apply. So here we will directly say transform. Transform on my variable X, all rows of X, but column index 0 to 3. And override the original data. Okay, sorry, my bad. It shouldn't be X here. It should be new X variable. So let me copy this, paste it here. Is this step clear, guys? Is line number 50 clear to you? I'm getting an error. What is this error? Okay, I've accidentally added S here. Okay, now this is good. Guys, please confirm if this step is clear to you. Line number 48 to 50. Thanks, Amay. Thanks, Ashu. Yeah, thanks, Mithili, for confirming it. I'll repeat here. We are directly applying transformation. Why? Because if we apply fit, what this new X will do, it will now start learning based on this data set. So यहाँ के हिसाब से it will calculate average value for column 0. यहाँ के हिसाब से it will calculate average value of column 1. From this it will calculate average value of column 2. जो हमें नहीं करना है, right? It should, अगर यहाँ पे let's say ये data missing होता, तो it should use the average value that it has used for original value of X, original X. जिस base पे उसने average learn किया था, वही average use करना चाहिए, right? So that's why we directly use transform. We will not apply fit. अगर गलती से भी fit apply किया, then your entire analysis is wrong. Why? Because now again you are asking new X, sorry, you are asking imputer to learn based on the new data, which is wrong. Right? So the pre-processing में वही चीज use करना है जो already learn किया है. Is this clear? So let's move ahead. After applying impute, we need to apply what? Label encoding. Right? So I'll say label encoding. So again, label encoding के लिए I will not use the new object. We'll have to reuse the original object LE. And उसमें भी we will not apply fit. Right? We will directly apply transform. So I'll say new X, all rows of X, but with index 3 is equal to label encoding dot transform. Transform on new X, all rows, column index 3 colon 4. See a similar step. All right. Again, I'll give you a reason why we have to use LE dot transform and not LE dot fit. So if you see here in your data set, new X में we only have New York. According to the label encoding classes, one second. Where is the classes method? Okay, I'll directly type here. So in my IPython console, I'll say label encoder dot classes underscore. One second. Okay, surprisingly, I'm not able to find the classes. All right. If you remember that 0 was assigned to Florida, right? 1 was assigned to California, right? And New York was assigned as 2. You remember this mapping? This was the mapping that was applied to the data set of variable X, right? So if you use here LE.fit in line number 51, if you use LE.fit, what will happen is it will reassign the numbers. It will now assign 0 to New York, which is wrong, right? According to the old mapping, New York was considered as 2. So we should use the same 2 over here, right? Same label encoding should be applied in this case as well, right? So therefore we have to directly apply here transform and not fit.
Why? Because if you apply fit, it will relearn based on the current data, which is a wrong step. Is this clear? Is step number 51 clear, everyone? Like why we are applying directly le.transform and not fit and then transform? Can you please confirm it on the chat window? Am I Ashu? Yeah, thanks Maitri for confirming it. Thanks Ashu for confirming. Yeah, thanks Amit for confirming this. All right. So let us execute this step, right? So before applying this is the data in Nuix variable. Now applying step number 51. Oh, sorry, my bad. Label encoding. Okay, guys, I know what is the problem. So see here, accidentally we have used the same variable name. We use the variable name LE and same LE we used it over here. Right? That's why I was not able to find your classes object. So let me change this and rerun the entire program. I'll change this to LEC, LEC, and LEC. Okay. So if you see, accidentally I have used the same name LE and LE was used, right, in both the cases for label encoding and for linear regression, right? That's why it has overwritten the original variable label encoder. So let me run the program again from the beginning. So I'll remove all the variables, right click, remove all variables, right click, clear the console. So I'm going to select my program from line number 8 till line number 46. Done. Then I will read the data and I'll apply imputer on this new input X. Done. Now before applying label encoding, you can see in LEC classes, 0 was California, 1 was Florida, and 2 was New York. Okay. So now here New York should get replaced with 2. But if you do this, if you do here LEC dot, see here, if you accidentally do here fit, right, and then if you apply transform, and then when you apply transform, you will see this is a wrong thing. So let me show it to you by executing these 2 steps, right? F9. Now you can see here new X, we got 0. Right? What was expected here? We were expecting 2. Why it has given 0? Because it has relearned everything, right? Because of this fit method, it has relearned based on the new data available. And since there was only one value, so it has considered it as 0. So this step, you shouldn't be doing it. Right? So let me run the program again till line number 51. So I'll clear the console. I will remove all the variables. So I'm resetting my environment. Removed all variables. I'll run my program till line number 50, starting from line number 8. Let's verify before applying its New York. Now when I apply transform, select, control enter. You can see now it has replaced it properly. Is this step clear, guys? Can you please confirm it on the chat window? Perfect. Now next is what? One-hot encoding. We'll also have to apply one-hot encoding on this new X, right? And again, for one-hot encoding, we'll have to use the same CT, right? And we'll be using only transform method, not the fit method. So I'll just copy this. I'll paste it here. Instead of X, this will be new X. Here it will be new X. And instead of fit underscore transform, it will be just transform. Right, so let me execute this line number 52 now. Select, control enter. Done. Now you can check your variable X, new X, right? 2 got replaced with 3 unique columns where it says 2 is present and rest of them are absent. Now we need to avoid dummy value trap, right? So in my original variable X, we ignored 0th index So even in new X, we should be ignoring 0th index. So I'll say now, new X is equal to new X, all rows, but starting with index 1 till the end. Select, control enter, done. And now you can see your new X variable is in exact same format which X was. Right? It has, both of them has 5 columns overall. Any doubt with this? Any doubt till this point or till this step, guys? Can you please confirm it on the chat window? Perfect. And last step is what? Predict, right? So I will simply say linear regression dot predict. Again, be careful, don't use le dot fit first. Okay, you are going to predict it. Predict based on what it has learned on historical data. If you apply fit, it will learn on the new data, which we don't want that thing to happen. So I'll say le dot predict, predict on new X. And this will be my prediction. Done. Let's select this, control enter, and you got a predicted value. So it is predicting that the profit will be approximately 20,6386. Right? And actually you can compare it as well by opening the original data set and your new X value. Right? So New York, see, we are having similar R&D, right? Just a minor difference in administration, right? And a little bit of change in marketing. So originally it was 90 to 19 something, and this is above 19. So we can say it's a good prediction. You can try this with other inputs as well. Is this step clear? Okay. What about Maithili? Is this step clear? Perfect. Now I have one question. You see, I have not applied standard scalar. Right? This is in terms of rupees. This is in terms of rupees. This is in terms of rupees. Right? So you can check your variable X. All of them are in terms of rupees except for state. Right? So logically here we have to apply standard scalar, right? To bring all the data at the same level. Do you guys agree with me on this point? Ideally, I should have applied standard feature scaling here as well, right? Yeah. So you should be applying feature scaling. If you apply feature scaling and observe the data, right, it will be even more accurate. Okay. And another point, even by mistake, like which we actually did it here, right? We forgot to apply feature scaling. Don't worry, your label encoder. So let's go to the label, sorry, not label encoder, your linear regression. So let's go to the help section. Let me change this sklearn dot linear underscore model dot linear regression. Here this library sklearn dot linear model dot linear regression. Okay. Let me form the complete name path here. Sklearn dot linear underscore model dot linear regression. Right? So by default, linear regression, okay. So you can see there is a normalize. The default is false. Right? So you can turn this on. So you can say normalize the data. So this is another way of applying feature scaling. Linear regression library supports normalization. Normalize is equal to true. So you can do this and apply feature scaling. Now here the feature scaling technique uses normalization. So you can do it in this fashion as well, right? So feature scaling. Either you can do it separately by applying standard scaler as the technique for feature scaling, or you can simply turn this on. Is this step clear, guys? What about Amay, Ashu? Yeah, thanks Amay for confirming it. Ashu, can you elaborate what do you mean by copy underscore x means? Parameter where? Uh, okay, so this you are talking about, right? Copy underscore x. I think this is for the modification of the data set, right? It says it's true by default, x will be copied, otherwise it will be overwritten. I have not, to be honest, I am not much sure what this variable, this parameter is about. But what I get a feeling is just that it works on a separate copy of x instead of overwriting the original one. In your previous example, where you wanted to do the simple linear regression, right? What you can do is you can use here as x. So if you don't use x1, x2, x3, x4, right? What you can do is x, all rows of x, but column index 0, right? Then next time use column index 1. Then next time use column index 2. You can use it in this fashion. But you'll have to apply separate linear regression on all the variables. Does that answer the question, Ashu? Perfect. And let me do one more correction. Let's, instead of using LE, we'll use LR. LR means linear regression, right? In fact, we'll use MLR. MLR means multiple linear regression. So, and we'll continue to use LE for label encoder only. So let me remove all variables. Let's verify and clear the console and rerun the entire set of program. Select, control enter. Done. All right. So any questions or any doubt with multiple linear regression? Perfect. So what we'll do is with this, we'll stop here today's session. I'll upload the recordings, right? Just one question, like, do you guys remember like using which ID did I uploaded it last time? Using which Gmail account did I uploaded it? Let me try it here. So definitely it was not using SPRK ID. Not in Edmodo. So the video session which I was uploading, right? This is ANN. Okay. Did I share any video sessions with you? Okay. Maithili, I think I shared video session with you because of the other batches, not on this batch, right? So you have confirmed NLP. So that was from another batch. Okay. So let me create a new folder here with this batch name in it. And this is using ID pankaj.pawar.spark@gmail.com. Okay. New folder. So machine learning. Your batch number is 13th, right? Okay, 14th. SPRK machine learning batch 14. Okay, and all right. Can you guys please let me know your Gmail ID so that I can share the video sessions with you going ahead? AASHUPRASAD603 @gmail.com. Please confirm if your Gmail ID is right, And I'm AMEYPOTE08 @gmail.com. Please check your Gmail account, right? You might have received a confirmation that I have given you permission on this particular drive. Here I'll create a new folder. So last time we did simple linear regression. I will upload that video, and I'll also add here a new folder which is multiple linear regression. In fact, let me move both of them in another folder called regression. Oof. Yeah, I need you guys to please confirm if you can see this folder called regression. So what you have to do is go to Google Drive, log in using your Gmail ID, the same Gmail ID that you are given, and then I think you will have to click on shared with me, and under that you will see this folder called SPRK machine learning 14. You should see this. Can you guys please quickly confirm this on the chat window? Perfect. So by today evening, I'm going to upload both the session, our previous session of simple linear regression and our today's session related to multiple linear regression, right? And you can revisit this video again and again whenever you have doubt related to these two concepts. All right. So with this, we'll stop here today's session. Thanks everyone. Thanks for dialing in. On Edmodo, I will upload the program as well. Don't worry about it. So Edmodo doesn't allow me to add the video, right? That's the major problem or concern. I'll upload the program on Edmodo, but other documents, right, like video session, I will upload it on Google Drive. Thanks everyone.